Do you have your mind right? Do you truly have your mind right to do what you need to do in your business? I'm Jackie with Wildling Dreams, and I just wanted to get on here to talk about where our mind is and how that can make or break our business. So I'm going to give some examples. We got entrepreneur one, knows everything they want to do, has no idea how to do it, but they're doing it anyway. We have entrepreneur number two. Now, entrepreneur number two doesn't know what they want to do, is confused, and is also surrounding by themselves by people that are also entrepreneurs and confused. So, who do you think is going to make it? The person that is super confused over here at number two, or the person over here that is confused but still doing something? They know that they're moving. And I will tell you, entrepreneur number one, the one that is confused but is still actively doing something, is going to succeed. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they don't just think about it, they're doing it. They have a mindset that, hey, I at least did something and I will figure it out as I go along. And I know this is not something that people would normally talk about. They'll be like, oh, you have to have it all together from the gate and you have to have the strategy. But the one thing I hear in the coaching calls that I've been doing over the last month or so is people are afraid to get moving. They don't move in that direction. So then they're like, nothing's happening. And I'm like, because you're not doing anything. I'm like, you got to do something. You have to move. If you do not move, you can't make mistakes. You can't turn around and know what to do later on because you have to get moving. But that all starts with your mind. And if you are fearful and you are fearful of, if I do it, this will happen, and then you just stay stagnant, nothing will ever happen in your business. And we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes in my entrepreneur journey. I have learned from them. And then some of them I'm like, well, that's just where I was at. And now I will learn and move better next time. But if you let fear get you frozen, so frozen fear, there's nowhere to turn, there's nowhere to go. And fear feeds more fear. So if you, like entrepreneur number two, if you're just like, I'm fearful and I don't know what to do, and then you're talking to another entrepreneur that's stuck and fearful, that's just feeding more fear. And that's not going to help you move. It's not going to help you do anything. So now you have, instead of just you being fearful, you have a team of fearful people and no movement. And then, in those scenarios, as you get fearful, now when you're not with that person, you're going through all of that stuff in your mind on how you can't do this, or you don't have money to do that, or you can't afford to buy this for your business. You can't afford to hire a coach. You can't afford to take that class that you need to take. All of that is going to stop your business. So right now, I'm going to tell you, stop. Stop being fearful. There is no need to be afraid. I'm going to repeat it again. There is no need to be afraid. Because if you have that passion and desire on your heart, you are meant to do it. I know that people say, well, I've had dreams and they failed and da 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 da. It doesn't matter. This one that's on your heart right now, you are meant to do it. If it's on your mind and you can't eat, you can't sleep, you're waking up out of your sleep to write things down. If you're walking down the road and you're like, oh, I could do that. Okay, that's a good idea. And you're writing that down, it's because you are meant to do it. So no, you're not going to start doing it and flop and fall on your face. Get that out of your mind. Just get it out. I'm going to say it again. Get it out. Because you are meant to do it. Those passions and desires on your heart, those gifts and talents are there for a reason. You may not know why they're there. You may not understand why you worked at that past company and went through all of that. You may not understand why that ideas that you have always work. But when you bring it together for your business, write it all down and do it. Make it happen. Do not be fearful. Do not team up with another fearful person, because that's only going to make you stand still. Get your hopes and dreams, pick them up, write them down, and run in the direction that you want to go. Team up with anyone that is running in that direction. So if you're running a marathon, I'm running, y'all. I'm running. If you are running in that regard and you're running towards that dream and you are teaming up with someone else that's running with that dream, there you go. You're just making things happen. So I have a special guest that's going to talk about being mindful and what that really means. And I'm going to get her in here now. And she's going to talk about being mindful and really not letting the fear and everything else around you hold you back. So she is connecting. It's waiting for her to connect. But in the meantime, oh, there she is. She has to flip around, I think, her camera. Hey. Oh, I think it flipped.
I'm coming. There we go.
Oh,
hey.
There we go.
How are you?
Doing well.
You gotta love technology, right?
Before you came, I was doing my little intro. We were running through. But
well, that's all right. You did great. I can see you, and I didn't even realize it. I guess I should have asked you if I could, because I was going to do it from my laptop, and so that's where the trouble lied, because I was like, I can't get on here from my laptop. I see you, but it's not working. So here we go.
Well, hey, this is my girl, Tonika.
Hello.
We have connected over the last couple weeks, and she is a mindful coach. Like, she is all about the mind, being mindful. So you can really live your full life and really have the full benefits of your business and everything coming together. So I am so glad to have her on. You guys pull out that pen and paper, because you're about to get some nuggets that you're going to walk away with. So here, can you introduce yourself? Tell them a little about you and how you became a mindful coach.
Okay, well, my name is TonikiaLSteans, and I'm from Indiana. I'm an only child. And so I've had to be creative my whole entire life. I had cousins, but I didn't have any sisters or brothers. But I have a husband. We've been married for 20 years, and we have 10 children.
Hey,
I didn't have them, but they're all mine. That's another story. But that's what helped me become mindful. And so, just growing up and being alone sometimes as an only child, it gets lonely. And so I had Barbie dolls, and I played with those, and I would make them interact with each other, and I would make them a soap opera sometimes, and I'd make my little movies with them. And I always felt like it's so weird, because as I would watch TV as a little girl, I always felt like, although we're watching television, I felt like someone was watching us. And we were on the stage. I always felt like the world was a stage, and we were the ones being watched. Well, truthfully, if you think about it, I believe in God. I believe he created this whole universe, and I believe he put us here for a purpose. And at the end of the day, he's going to have us stand before him, and he's going to tell us everything about our life. So he's been watching, right? And so with that, it was a time in my life where I was just like, okay, who are you? What are you doing? Where are you going? And most people think that I live in La La fairy tale land. And I don't. I seriously, there's a method to my madness, because I believe that if you think it, you can have it. If you believe it, it will come. And I promise, I didn't know anything about The Secret. I didn't know anything about manifestation. I was young. I had no clue. And so as I got older and I met my husband, I'll never forget, I was talking to him, and he goes, girl, you think this is a Snow White type of thing? He was like, you living in a fairy tale land. And I'm like, no, I believe that you can. And so then, like, as I started realizing that's when all of this manifestation stuff started. It's like, as you come into reality more, you start realizing that, oh, did I just invent this stuff, or was it already here? Or am I now being made aware of what's going on around me? Because I want to know. He says, seek and you shall find. And so I've always been someone that searched for knowledge. I always want to get to the bottom of something. I always want to have an understanding of life and understand what that meaning is and what our purpose is. And again, like I said, I'm like, I need to figure out what direction I'm going, what I'm going to be doing with myself, what I'm supposed to do. For some reason, wherever I go, people just come up and start talking to me and telling me things that I didn't ask them about. I mean, no reason. They just tell me their whole life story, and I'm just sitting there and I listen. And then the next thing you know, they're like, "Thank you so much. You helped me." But truthfully, when they would walk away, I would be like, I'm so inspired. I just feel really good. I just feel enlightened. I feel like, and my husband would be like, you should be a life coach. And I'm like, what is a life coach? Seriously. And this was like 20 years ago. And he's like, he was like, for some reason, people just like to tell you stuff. And he said, and you make them feel good. You just make people feel good. And I'm like, but I'm sincere. I'm being honest. I'm not making it up. I don't know where this stuff comes from. I don't even know how I know this stuff half the time. I'm like, how do I know that? Like, did I dream it?
Because it's in you.
And that's the thing. That is the thing. So what I tried to figure out is this inherent? Was I born with this? Because as a young girl, I always had a connection, and I knew who God was, but I didn't know the Trinity. I didn't. I knew that there was all this stuff going on. It was God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I didn't know how they worked together. And so when I figured out, someone sat me down and talked to me because they almost died, and they were an atheist. They did not believe in Christ. And they told me why they came to Christ. And at that point, I was just like, oh my God, it makes so much sense now. And in school, I was like the person that my friends would always be like, okay, what's the right thing to do? What should we do? And I'd be like the voice of reason. And I'd be like, no, maybe we shouldn't do that. And it's like, I was always inquisitive about things. And so I always thought that was my first thing. I never did anything. I had to think it through. I had to be like, okay, so what is going to happen? What if I do this, this is going to happen. And I was never one that could do anything bad because I was going to get found out. It didn't matter. And so if it was going to be something bad and I was involved, you best believe we're going to be in trouble because I'm honest. And that was the thing. If something happened, I'd be like, yeah, that's what happened. And so, again, as I got older, it's like I became more in tune with that inner spirit, because when I was younger, I didn't know what it was. I thought I was like, seriously, am I a witch? Am I a psychic? No, I seriously thought these things.
I'm gonna pause you right here, and we're going to backtrack because you keep talking about that, but it was in you. I want people to
yes, and I'm getting there. And that's what I'm saying. When I was younger, I kept questioning myself, what is this thing? And so I thought when I grew up, I would be a motivational speaker, because now, people really like to hear me talk, and I can help them and I can motivate them. And but there was a problem. I couldn't motivate myself.
Right.
I can motivate others, and I could come up with a solution. And I was always told, if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. Well, what's my problem? I don't know what my problem is. I can't figure it out. There's nobody to help me. There's nobody that can answer my questions. There's nobody that gets me, because everybody thinks I'm weird and strange because I think a little different. And so I went on my spiritual journey, trying to figure out who I am in this world and what I'm supposed to be doing. And at that moment, that's when it came to me. You know who you are.
Yes.
You've been hiding from who you are because you're afraid to accept who you are, because you tell everybody that if you believe it, it can happen. And I tell my daughter all the time, I'm like, mommy gets double portion blessings, and it always the sun always shines on my side of the street. Well, those are the things I believe. But as you get older and you start seeing things in the world, and you have people in your life that tell you, well, just keep living, you'll understand. Why don't you ever worry? Why don't you get upset? Why are you not mad? Why are you always smiling? Well, aren't you supposed to be happy? Are you supposed to live life and live it in abundance?
See, but when you realized it was in you, you couldn't pinpoint it, but you were walking in it. You knew that when people stopped and talked to you, you didn't know, you didn't have the label, the life coach, the mindful life coach. You didn't have the term, but you were walking in it. And then you're like, as I'm walking, I'm going to figure this out. Now, if you would have been the other person, that would have been like, oh, it's there, but I'm too scared to figure out what it is. People think I'm a weirdo. No one will want to hear me speak. No one's going to want to talk to me. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say. Maybe I should just shut up. I'm saying it's a little too much. Or maybe I am a psychic. Maybe I need to get into tarot cards to find myself. But that's
Oh,
the other way around, because you're like, no, I know it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm going to walk in that.
yes.
And
And
then
I
when you
did, and
got
I kept.
clarity, yes,
Yes. And
yes,
I kept on because I'm like, but then I got to the point where I'm like, if I tell people this, they're going to really think I'm crazy because I'm like, I know what it is now. And so I'm a firm believer that if you are something, you don't have to tell anybody. They can
right.
identify it. They can feel that spirit. And it's been so many people, and I just laugh. I just laugh because I'm like, okay, who told you that? You know, and then it's like, it's confirmation. And so when I went on my spiritual journey and I sat down and I'm like, okay, I need to become one with who my father is. I need to understand this gift that he gave me, and I need to believe in this gift that he gave me. So what do I need to do that? So I started looking at The Secret. And I started diving into it, not because I wanted to learn about The Secret, but because I wanted to learn where they were getting this information from. And guess where they got it? The Bible.
The word.
They got, anything that was made with our Lord. He
Yeah.
made it. The
But
only
my
thing
thing
is,
is what you just turn around with. You were walking in it, and then you started doing it. So then
yeah,
you became a doer, because you were like, now I got to do it. Now I got some
yeah,
clarity. So now
yeah,
I'm doing it. You didn't go team up with someone that was fearful and doubting to get you off track. You were like, no, went from, I heard kind of, now I'm a doer. I'm walking in it. Now you're like, okay, I'm really doing it now. So now I'm on
yeah.
a little jog. I'm going to do my little jog. Then you're moving. And
And
then
that's the
that's
part of
when,
being,
yeah.
yeah, but that's the part of being an only child. See, I'm used to being by myself. I don't have anybody to confide in. I don't have anybody that I trust enough to tell them things that they're going to be like, you know what, I get you. Nobody's ever got me. I'm the only one that gets me, you know? And so as I'm looking into this thing, I started to realize, and so meditation, yoga, I'm not getting ready to be chanting. I'm not getting ready to be doing it. But for some reason, I just have this innate ability to stretch. And I just stretch and I do these stretches, but it's not yoga. And I'm like, I can feel in tune with myself and with the universe. And so I'm like, okay, God, what does the Bible say? What does your word say about this? What do I need to know? What does it say? It says meditate on these words day and night. And so I'm like, oh, it's from you. It is from you, Father. I need to know for a fact, for a certain fact. I need you to let me know. Make it clear. Hit me upside the head. Let me know that it's, and that is seriously it as far as being mindful, because at that point I realized that every single thing that we need is already inside of us. But what happens is we get caught up in the world. We get caught up with thinking that you have to go along with these things. You're not the go along to get along. That's not who you are. My
You don't
husband
have to
says,
participate, like we were
yeah,
talking about before.
yeah.
You don't have to
There's,
participate.
you
We are
don't.
trendsetters. We are
Say
moving.
no. If you want to say no, say no. If you want to do it, do it. You don't need a crowd to follow you. You don't need anybody to follow you. All you have to do is start walking. Either they'll come and say, I've got this thing that I say. Get on the happy train, because we don't have time for bandwagons. Bandwagons are dragging, and we don't want to be dragging. And so, as far as being mindful, I had to think within myself, who am I? Who am I in this world, and what is my purpose? My purpose is to be able to help other people find their purpose. But see, the thing is, they think that I'm helping them. No, I help them to help themselves.
Yeah, it's already in you.
It's
And
there.
that's why when people are like, oh, I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I keep waking up with that.
Why?
It's because you're meant to do it. It's already in you. That's why
Yeah.
it's waking you up out of your sleep.
Absolutely.
That is why when you're walking around, you got a notepad and you're writing stuff down, because it's already in you. But what happens, like you said, the outside distractions of what other people are doing or what people say you should be doing. And it's like that fear will only hold you back, or their confusion. And you cannot link up and surround yourself by fear and confusion, because you will stand still and it will stop you from using your gift that is already in you.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I sometimes want to help people more than they want to help themselves, because I'm going to share a secret with you. My mother was a teenage mother. She had me when she was 17 and a half, 18. She dropped out of school before she graduated. Now, I always tell her God gave me to you to guide you through this life. And it's so weird because me and my mom have been together our whole life. And my dad, bless his heart, he passed away in 2012. But we always were best friends. We always were together. And so my mom, I told her, I said, I said, everything that's in me, it came from you.
Right.
I am your part of your creation. And so whatever it is that my mom thinks I'm so brilliant and she thinks I'm so great and she thinks I can do all these things. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not that smart. I promise. And she's like, you've been praying and you've been preaching your whole life before you could talk. You've been praying. And she said, because I remember one time she had bought a car and she came and picked me up from kindergarten. And I go, you don't know how to drive? Who sold you a car? Where did you get a car for? But it was so funny. And we were going to pick my dad up and she got lost because she went the wrong way. And I just started praying and I said, well, God, just help us get back home and help my dad find a ride home and he'll be home safe and we'll be okay. He made it home safe. We were okay. And he thought the same thing. Where did you go get a car from? But anyway, so 45 years later, I'm 45 years old. And I am about to finish my bachelor's in July. My mother, bless her heart, I said, Mom, you need to go back to school. She's like, well, I'm too old now. I'm like, no, you're not. You are not too old. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. And I'm telling you. So she went out one day, and this is again, has nothing to do with manifestation. It has to do with what you believe in your heart. Believe it, because manna comes from heaven. And so if you believe it, it's coming. And so she comes home and she said, guess what? You ain't going to believe this. And I said, I signed you up for school. She was like, what? I was like, yeah. She said, nuh-uh. I said, yeah. She said, I just saw a billboard that said, call this number and you can go to school. And at that point, her phone starts ringing. And it's the school telling her that they want her to come in because we got this free school here in Indiana now that you can go to and get a high school diploma, a Core 40 high school diploma. So I said, Mom, you're going to do it. You're going to do it, Mom. And she's like, well, I need you to fill it. Nope. I'm not doing anything. And it was tough. It was so tough because I'm usually the one that jumps in there and I'll do everything. And, I love numbers, but math was never my forte. English, writing, spelling, language, that was my thing. Math, but I like it now. But no, my mom was making A's in algebra in school after 45 years. And I said, now listen here, lady. I said, first of all, you were freaked out and scared about going back to school. I said, but the thing is this. I said, you believe in me. But the way you believe in me, you got to believe in yourself that way because if I came from you, what makes you think you can't do it? Did my mama not graduate? Was she not the valedictorian? Did she not give the graduating speech? And I'm like, and they want her to come back.
I'm like,
they want her to come back and be an ambassador for the school. And then COVID came because she just graduated February. This past February, she graduated. So I'm like, because she was like, well, some of my classmates aren't going to graduate till June. I'm like, honey, you done came too far. You are graduating in February. I don't care. They didn't help you pass those tests. They're cool and all, but you're doing this for you. I don't care what you think. You're not doing it for me. You're not doing it for my dad. You're not doing it for your mom. You're not doing it for these grandkids. You're doing it for you. I need you to graduate in February. Baby, let me tell you. She was like, you know what? I'm so grateful that I listened to you. And I said, now it's funny. Who's the mama? You're the mama. But if it had not been for you having me, I couldn't do this for you. And all I did was encourage her and let her know. I said, Mama, she's writing essays and all kind of stuff. And I'm just like, lady. And when she graduated, she wrote her speech. And I typed it out for her, though. I was like, I'll type it because she was so nervous. I said, I'll type it out for you, but you're writing it. And she put scriptures in there. And when they read it, it was like, okay, we're not going to be able to let you read this thing with the scriptures in it. Oh, did they not let her? That's how good God is. Because they let her read that graduation speech with the scriptures in there, saying that she can do all things through Christ who gives her strength, and quoting the word and standing up there like she's never missed a beat. And now, my mother, now see, I don't care if it happened 45 years ago. I don't care if it happens 45 years from today. She got a diploma. And it's the same diploma, regardless. It's a diploma, right?
There you go.
And so that's it. And I'm so proud of her.
In spite of she did doubt a little, and you were like, well, Mama, if you can't tell me to believe in myself and walk in that if you ain't willing to do it. And she was
Yeah.
like, all right, you checked me, all right.
Yeah. And that's
And
what
she
she said.
did it.
She said, you would never help me. I said, because I didn't need to. I said, it was tough, but she would get mad at me. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I go to school too. Everybody in my house goes to school. Everybody, to the baby. Everybody in this house goes to school. You on your own, sister. You got to do it. You can do it. And she was like, it's not as bad as I thought. I don't know why when I was in high school, I didn't think I could get it. And I said, but Mama, you done lived life now. You've got some more experience.
Sometimes it's where you're at and what you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And fear
Yeah.
wants to grab a hold and stop you from doing it. But it's not like it don't come around again. It still was in her, or she would have looked at that billboard and been like, I should do school. It was
awareness.
And she let it come out. She actually walked in it, and look, she has a diploma, and there was no reason to be afraid.
Exactly. And I can tell you, the people that you surround yourself around too now, mind you, I don't like organized religion, and I keep saying it. I'm a minister, and why God is playing this trick on me is funny, but he put me in one of the most organized religions that he could have possibly put me in, and that's the AME church, right? And so they believe in being scholarly. Tell you, they believe that you need an education and you need to. And why, when we came to that church, because my daughter decided she was going to join Sunday school there. And I'm like, okay, if that's what that's, if you want to do that, you go right ahead. So I said, well, what can we do to help her? Come to church with her. I'm like, well, okay, here we come. I don't have a problem with going to church. I just don't want to join. I didn't want to join the church, but I'm obedient. And I'm walking obedience. And so when we got there, I felt at home. I did. And now we're surrounded around all these people that are just so encouraging and uplifting and inviting. And I felt like for the first time, these people get me. They get me. They don't think I'm weird. They believe what I'm saying, and they believe that I believe what I'm saying. And most of the people there are educators. Now, imagine that. We go to a church with mostly educators. And so they believe in education. Hey, what does that do? That lifts you up. And so you've got to surround yourself around those people that you want to be. Not that you want to be like, but that you don't want to be on a lower level. You always have to bring yourself up to a higher level.
Or you got to be around people that are elevated, that will elevate you.
Absolutely.
And that's why hiring coaches or having ourselves in groups or surrounding ourselves. And I'm talking about day and night, not just portions of the day. Everybody, and I mean, this is kind of a story. I'm going to do quick, but everybody had that person that we went and we're like, oh, well, she always doing bad and we got to help her. But then there's sometimes that you're having a bad day and you need somebody to help you. You're not going to go to the person that always needs help to help you.
No, not at all. You're going
to look for some guidance and somebody that's going to help you out. So that's why we have to have people surrounded by us that can elevate and bring us up.
Yes. And
I'm not saying that we don't go and have down days, because we all do. But when people are
down human.
And they stay down, you don't need to be around that, because that means you're going to be down off in there with them, because you got to go in there to get
And misery loves company. And I never understood what that meant until I became an adult. And if you're miserable and sad and downtrodden, then you want me to be there with you. And so if I call you and say, oh my God, this just happened, then you're going to have that pity party with me. But I don't want a pity party. If I call you, I want you to say, Tonika, get up. You know better. You're just down right now. Cry, go wash your face, get it together. And that's how I live my life. And my kids, listen, change your face. Go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror and see if you like what's looking back at you. Right. And they always laugh every time. They're like, oh God, yeah, you don't want it. Do you see that? You don't see yourself in the mirror. And that's why I don't like to do live sometimes, because I'm always smiling and animated and crazy.
Me, I smile, I look at myself. But my thing is too, like you said, if you over here, ain't nobody trying to look at that.
No. No.
So when you're smiling and stuff and doing live, to me, it's like, I'm live and in color. This is what you see is what you get. I ain't gonna be fake. I ain't gonna be phony. And the same way, I'm gonna be real with you when I'm coaching. Because you have a coaching program. So talk a little about how you coach and mentor.
So I don't. I talk to people. We have conversations. They coach themselves. Because for one, I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know what your problem is. You can tell me all day long that this is that. And I'm like, okay. I help you to figure it out. Because first of all, only you know what it is that moves you and drives you. And every time when I hit that spot on them, they get mad at me. When you hit that spot, when you get to the core of somebody, they get mad. And it's not that they're mad at you, they're mad at themselves, because it's like, man, I can't hide this no more. I got to get out of my own way. And that's the thing. You have to stop getting in your own way, because you will defeat yourself. The only competition you have in this world is you. It's not about what people think about you. It's not about what people say about you, because at the end of the day, they're not going with you when you go. They might cry at your funeral, maybe. But when you gone, they gonna move on. So you have got to focus on who you are. It's not your family. It's not your friends. It's not your children. It's not your husband. You. And I'm just saying this because if you're not good, you can't be good for anybody else. And so I have a ministry of reconciliation, and this is part of the coaching. And it's not just about marriages or relationships in that aspect, but it's about a relationship. First, a relationship to God. Who are you connected to? What source are you plugged into? Now, do you love God? You love him with your whole mind, heart, soul, body? You love him? Now you learn to love yourself. Now you love yourself like you love God, because he's in you. And you can't say you love him and you don't love yourself, because he's love, right? But then what does he say? He says, love your neighbor like you love yourself. And so
you don't love yourself, you ain't going to treat your neighbor right either.
You can't be out here loving on folks and you don't love yourself, because you don't know how to love. You can pretend, you can fake it, but the truth is you're always going to show up. No matter where you go and you try to hide, the real you is going to come out at some point. So be you, be authentic, and be real. So once you know those three aspects of love, that's reconciliation, that's a relationship, that's a circle, that's a trinity, right? And so now you know the Father, you know yourself, you know your friend. Oh, what a friend we have in Jesus, right? So you put those three things together, and then you walk in that. And we all have a ministry. And so whatever it is that you had to come through, now you know this is how you help someone, because what happens to you happens for you to help someone else. And so once you learn what it is that you were struggling with, then there's somebody else that's going to come to you, because that's how we're drawn to people. You are connected to the people that you have something for. You're not going to be connected to people that you have nothing for and that have nothing for you. Because when that time is over, you have to move on. It's only going to be a certain period of time. When you're in kindergarten, that's what you learn. When you're in the 12th grade, that's what you learn. But then you graduated and you went to college. And now you've got professors instead of teachers, right?
Right.
So it's always a level that you're going to increase. And we have to continue. You have to continue to raise yourself up. And it doesn't matter what level you start out on, because we all start out on a lower level. We do. It doesn't matter what you're born into. We're all born, right? But then you're born again at some point. And you're either born again to the Father or you're born again to yourself, because a lot of people think that they're God, and that's fine. And you can, and that's great to have that power and that energy. You can think whatever you want to think. But at the end of the day, the source only comes from one place. And you have to believe that, because it says all good things come from above. And so when you know where your good things are coming from, those things are going to last. And when that's in you, it's never going to go away. And so we're scared of it. We're scared of what we don't know. And so we seek out people to validate us. We seek out relationships and husbands and children. And we think that this thing is going to love us and it's going to be there for us.
But it's already in us. And we need to walk in what's already in us.
That's it. Because you and you alone, you have to be able to walk alone. When you first start walking as a baby, your parents don't walk with you. They might hold your hand or whatever, but they can't they might put their feet under your feet and help you walk.
They can't move your feet.
They can't. You have to take the steps, and this right here, I always say, the man at the water, why don't you get up? Nobody's here to help me. Okay, get up and pick up your mat. Crawl, do whatever you got to do, drag yourself over. Get up, come on. Don't wallow in your pity. You weren't created for that. And if we understand how to walk in our purpose, because in my shows, I always say, remember, you were created with a purpose. The with a purpose means it's inside of you already.
Already.
Seek out what that purpose is. Understand what that purpose is. You don't need to go pay millions of dollars for self-help, this, that, or other. Now, mentors, coaches, I believe in that because any sports team, they have a coach.
Right.
Vince Lombardi, the most winningest coach in football, right? He had a mindset. It wasn't because he was so great at what he did. It was because of how he saw and envisioned things and how he put it together. And if you've got to have a plan for your purpose. And see, a lot of times we just want to be a purpose. No, everything has a purpose, but it's a plan for that purpose. And so if you don't understand how to put those things in order, so we're so quick to say, well, I've got to do this or I've got to do that. Who told you that? Who told you that you have to do those things? You know, that's what society might tell you. You might think that you have to fit in. But once we become in tune with ourselves, once we reconcile with our body, with our spirit, and with our mind, and we understand that the power is inside of you, we have someone that intercedes on our behalf. So when we mess up, we've got somebody that's there. All we have to do is just pray. That's meditation. Pray, help me, give me the knowledge and the wisdom that I seek and I desire so I can think more clearly, so that I can understand the vision, so that when I write it down, somebody's going to run with that vision, right? And so, you know, again, I'm quirky with my things that I do. I'm crazy. I say off the wall things sometimes. Somebody told me I reminded them of Tiffany Haddish, and I was like, I am not a comedian. I'm like, serious? I don't get that. But my husband started laughing, and he goes, I do, because he said,
you're real.
He said, you just say stuff. And he said, and you call people, and it's not, and I'm not being mean, but I'm not going to allow you to sacrifice this God-given talent and the beauty that's inside of you. So I want it more why do I want it more than you? Why do I see what's inside of you and you don't see it? Because real can recognize real. And so when I see that these people have a following over here, and they can get everybody on the dance floor, they can get everybody to do whatever they want them to do. Hey, if you take that energy that you're using right there, and you start a business and you start something that starts to bring in your own revenue, that starts to bring in your own sustainability, other people will follow that. Give them something else, because the crab barrel mentality, we got to get out of that.
See, and I want you to tell them where they can find you. What social medias are you on?
Hey.
Where's your website? What's your email? Everything. I want them to connect with you.
I'm TonikiaLSteans, life coach. I like to have fun. And so my business is called Your Full Mind Life. You got to have a full mind to have a full life. And so once your mind is full, your life will be full. And so, again, you said earlier that it's not about just saying, oh, girl, get your mind right. No, it's a serious thing. You got to know who you are in your mind. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You're getting ready to make me do this Instagram thing. You know what? I never wanted to be a part of social media. I never wanted to do lives. I didn't want to do all of this. Just put me on the street corner. Let me talk to people as they walk by, right? They'll find me. But no, seriously, I do believe that we've had enough of sugarcoating going on in this world.
There you go.
And so we need people that will love on you, that will be patient with you, that will be kind and understanding, and that will be there. That's who I am. That's why I'm a coach, because I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to beat you down, because it's not my life. This is your life. But I want you to have the life of abundance. I want you to feel the joy that I feel. I want you to see when you go to work and you say good morning and you're happy and you're cheerful and the people look at you like, what is wrong with you? You want to give that joy, so they'll want that joy. Because I promise you, there's nothing better. There is nothing better. And when I met you, I was just like, see, I've been trying to convince my family we need to go off the grid. I've been telling them I'm planting me a garden. And they looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no. And so then I have them do little stuff that I sneak on them. They don't even know. I just sneak it on them. And they be like, you know, this ain't really bad. I think I can get used to this. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's not.
But like
sometimes
you said, it's really about it's not, sometimes when it's our purpose, it's not really about what we want to do, because we can talk ourselves out of everything. So I'm
Yes.
glad you got on this IG. We had a
Yeah.
little tech issue, but you were on
But no
here.
worries, and you're gonna have to come in and hang out with me sometime. But listen, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I do lives every Monday morning, Monday mindfulness. Right now we're doing a 28-day challenge. We're on day 3. And
Okay.
so we're learning something about mindfulness, and I want to share this nugget with you. The breath is where you get the mindset. Seriously. As you breathe in, you got to understand that breath is where you get that spirit from. And
Breathing
so
in life.
be mindful of your breaths. Every breath that you take, be mindful, because you don't know when you're going to take your last one. Live life to the fullest and live it in abundance, because that's what we're here for, to have a purpose and to walk in our call. You don't have to be a preacher in the pulpit. You don't have to be the deacon. You don't have to be nothing except for someone that tells somebody else how you got to where you are. And that's because it's in you. And if I can do it, you can do it.
And we're going to
That's
end
the
on
bottom
that,
line.
people, because they don't even know. Bottom line, like you said, it is in you. If you didn't hear nothing that we said until the end, I'm going to snap
in
this
you.
out. It's in you. It's
It's
in
in
you.
you. I
Oh
love
my
you,
God.
lady. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. And I'm going to post this, and I want you to drop the link for your 28 days of mindfulness. And again, she said Mindful Mondays. She everywhere.
Yes.
You gonna find her. She
Yeah,
everywhere.
YouTube is where I stream live Mindful Monday. So I was Facebook, but now I do it on YouTube. So there
All
you go.
right. All right. So I'm gonna save this. I love y'all, and she
Love
gonna drop
you.
the link below. Make
Yep.
sure you like and follow her. You guys have a great one.